Chapter 366. It was an account book that the Tianyu imperial family had been secretly collecting to solve the imperial family's emergency. She didn't expect the emperor of Tianyu to place such importance on the Fei family. But it made sense. They were in-laws. Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a mocking smile. But now, these things were going to be hers. Luo Qingtong put away the account book. Then, she tiptoed to the Fei family storehouse. She took out a large sum of hidden funds and the Fei family's many years of storage and put them all into her trash ring before leaving. After she left, the entire Tianyu imperial city was in an uproar. Although Little Pig's true form only appeared for an instant, the boundless pressure still woke everyone up from their stupor. But by the time they arrived, Luo Qingtong had already left. Looking at the Fei family's collapsed main residence, the experts in Tianyu imperial city looked at each other in shock. The Fei family was the empress' maternal family, a century-old family that was one of the pillars of the Tianyu Empire. But it was destroyed in a single night. And in such a short time, they didn't even have a chance to ask for help. The group of people widened their eyes, unable to believe the reality in front of them. In the Tianyu Imperial Palace, the empress almost fainted when she heard the news. "No, this is impossible. How could my Fei family be in such a state? You must be lying to me. I don't believe it." The empress couldn't connect the destruction of her family to her. The Fei family was a century-old family with great strength and strict defense. Her father and brothers were not weak either. Especially her father. She had even specially asked for a martial emperor-level inner armor treasure for him just to ensure his safety. How could he be destroyed just like that? And in the imperial city of the Tianyu Empire? No. I don't believe it. She staggered away from the palace maids who were trying to help her and ran out. Along the way, she bumped into Xueqi who had rushed over after receiving the news. Mother! Mother! Xueqi cried and threw herself into Empress Tianyu's arms. Grandfather and uncle are dead. How could this be? Mother! Xueqi's cries shook the heavens. Empress Tianyu felt dizzy. Dead? Is he really dead? The Fei family had been exterminated? Is this for real? This was actually real. Ah! Empress Tianyu let out a heart-wrenching scream. Her vision went black and she fainted on the ground. Because of Xueqi's action of throwing herself into her arms, her entire body fell backwards. In an instant, a hole appeared on the back of his head, and blood seeped out. Mother! Xueqi screamed in fright. Quick! Hurry and help Imperial Mother up. Imperial Physician Xian. Summon the Imperial Physician. Her scream spread far and wide. In an instant, the Sky Universe Imperial Palace was thrown into chaos. At this time, Luo Qingtong had already caught up with the group of people from Evil Valley who had left early. They were waiting for Luo Qingtong outside the Imperial City. They had already decided that if Luo Qingtong really couldn't come out safely, they would return to the Luo family. After that, they would return to the Luo family and take good care of the old master. After that, they would cultivate with all their might. In the future, when they broke through to the martial emperor realm, they would come again to kill that old dog of the Fei family and avenge their master. However, they still believed that Luo Qingtong would be able to escape. Now that they saw Luo Qingtong return safely, they were overjoyed. Master! A group of people gathered around. Luo Qingtong nodded. Let's go. The Fei family has been exterminated. We should return to the Luo family. Chapter 367. Yes. Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong with an indescribable passion. The Fei family had been destroyed? Could it be that Master didn't escape, but instead killed the Fei family head? No one dared to think about it. She was wearing a martial emperor-level defensive inner armor. Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong with shock and excitement. After answering in unison, they immediately piloted the spirit boat and flew in the direction of Dongli Nation. At this moment, the sky had already begun to brighten. Luo Qingtong walked to the side of the spirit ship and began to adjust her breathing. This battle with the Fei family head had given her a lot of insight and inspiration. The greatest benefit of fighting someone of a higher level was that she could gain a deeper understanding of a higher level of power. Luo Qingtong's mind flashed with the gains she had gained from the battle with the Fei family head. As she circulated the energy in her body, the aura in her body continued to boil. Master, The spirit ship soon arrived at Windgaze City. The sky had just brightened. Everyone was about to call out to Luo Qingtong when they realized that the aura in her body was constantly changing. They immediately covered their voices. Master was breaking through. Everyone looked at the change in Luo Qingtong's aura, and immediately looked at the expert who had just reached the martial emperor realm. When Luo Qingtong was not in charge, he was the one with the most authority. Let's go to the 9 Magi Mountain first. The expert who had just reached the martial emperor realm made a prompt decision. Luo Qingtong's breakthrough was a big deal. A martial artist should not be disturbed when they were breaking through. They stopped in the sky above Windgaze City. Although the spirit ship was engraved with a concealment array that prevented ordinary people from seeing it, what if a powerful expert happened to pass by and discovered the spirit ship? Nothing could go wrong with Master's breakthrough. The group immediately followed his instructions and flew towards the 9 Magi Mountain. At the same time, they sent a group of people to guard the Luo family to prevent any accidents. Before Master broke through and woke up, no one was allowed to make any moves. Everything was to follow Master's orders. While Luo Qingtong was breaking through on the spirit ship, Windgaze City, where the people from Tianyu branch were staying, Luo Xining sat in front of the dressing table in a bright red dress. Her face was covered with a light-colored veil, revealing only her eyes. Looking at her half-hidden appearance in the mirror, she was still quite graceful and gentle. However, Luo Xining did not seem to be going for the gentle and graceful route today. She used the golden powder to draw the outline of her eyes and cheeks. Then, she applied a light red flying tail to draw the lines at the corners of her eyes long and slanted. She looked very imposing and imposing. Finally, he stuck a crimson lotus petal on his forehead. Heh! She chuckled at the mirror. She was very satisfied with her outfit today. Luo Qingtong, it's a pity that you can't see it. This is the appearance of the future genius of the Luo family. The direct bloodline of the Luo family has been destroyed. From now on, I, Luo Xining, will be the direct bloodline of the Luo family. The future glory of the Luo clan will be inherited by me. I will let you know how I entered Tianyu Branch Academy in glory, and how I rebuilt the second branch of the Luo clan. Humph. Concubine born? Expelled from the Luo clan? What you said is nothing. Luo Xining laughed coldly. In the next second, she stood up and left with a smug look on her face. Luo Xining held 2 things tightly in her arms. Both of them were taken from Luo Qingtong. One was a recommendation letter for admission to Tianyu Branch Academy. The other was the Luo clan's heirloom armor. Of course, she would keep the heirloom armor. As for the recommendation letter for admission, Luo Xining chuckled and flicked her fingertips. She would give it to whoever hit the Luo family when they were down the most. Chapter 368. At the same time, in Tianyu Palace. The moment Tianyu Empress woke up, she screamed hysterically. Investigate! Investigate for me! Who destroyed the Fei family? I will tear them to shreds and exterminate their entire family as a sacrifice to my Fei family's soul in heaven. However, just as her words left her mouth, a furious shout rang out at this moment. Shut up! This is all your Fei family's fault. Emperor Tianyu appeared at the entrance of the Empress' bedroom. He came with boundless anger. Yuan Xue, who was guarding the Empress' bedside, was frightened by his terrifying anger. In the end, she choked out. Imperial Father, how can you say that to Grandfather and the others? We're already very sad that the Fei family was destroyed. How can you? Shut up! Emperor Tianyu was enraged to the extreme. Wasn't he sad that the Fei family was destroyed? He just handed over the secret payment to the Fei family's father and son. He had thought that everything they did would be foolproof. In the end, they had provoked such an enemy. Not only had the entire Fei family been annihilated, but his secret payments had also disappeared without a trace. But he couldn't say anything, because the person who destroyed the Fei family was someone he couldn't afford to offend. Do you know who destroyed the Fei family? Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. How did your Fei family provoke such an enemy? And you want to tear them to shreds and exterminate their entire family? Emperor Tianyu sneered at the shocked Empress. Go ahead if you have the ability. But don't drag our imperial family down with you. Emperor Tianyu's anger had reached its peak. When the Fei family was destroyed, he sent people to investigate. In order not to implicate the Luo family, Luo Qingtong didn't hide her identity. She wrote a few words in blood on the ruins of the Fei family. Murderer, evil Dr. Ghost Eye. These few words were seen by everyone who had been alerted to the Fei family. Everyone knew that it was evil Dr. Ghost Eye who destroyed the Fei family. When he heard this, Emperor Tianyu hated that he couldn't go back to the time before the Fei family was destroyed and personally skin them alive. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye, who didn't know that she was an esteemed guest of the Black Field with amazing medical skills. The mystic origin heart elixir she refined was already hard to find. It was said that even the forces in the Holy Dynasty had people asking about her whereabouts, wanting to buy the elixir she had refined. How could the Fei family offended such a person? And it was the extermination of their entire family. Empress Tianyu said she wanted to tear them to shreds and exterminate their entire family. Did she think that Black Field was so? Not to mention, Tianyu Emperor Pai tossed a card in front of her. This is the invitation that the Lanyue family sent to me as soon as possible. Do you know what they said? Evil Dr. Ghost Pupil, do not move. Do you know what this means? This meant that the Lanyue family was definitely on evil Dr. Ghost Eye's side. You idiot. Use. Why don't you think about how your Fei family offended her? Recently, a few of my imperial granduncles were injured and other alchemists couldn't heal them. Only evil Dr. Ghost Eye can do it. I was going to send people to the Black Fields branch city to discuss with the Bloody Arena. I wanted them to ask evil Dr. Ghost Eye to refine the elixir. Emperor Tianyu gritted his teeth as he said this. Chapter 369. He flicked his sleeves and left. The Tianyu Empress collapsed on the bed. She never thought that the one who wiped out the Fei clan would be evil Dr. Gui Tong. Not to mention his strength, just his shocking medical skills were enough to make people not dare to offend him. How could her clan offend such a person? And to the point that he didn't care about anything and directly wiped out the entire Fei clan? Father and the others weren't so short-sighted people. The Tianyu Empress was no longer hysterical, and so was the arrogance on her face. She covered her face and curled up on the bed, sobbing. The imperial granduncles that Emperor Tianyu mentioned were the martial emperors that the Tianyu imperial family relied on the most. If the other party's request for medicine was really rejected because their Fei family had offended evil Dr. Gui Tong, they would definitely be blamed. Although they wouldn't do anything to her for Yuan Ma's sake. But she wouldn't be as carefree as before. Heavens, why did it become like this? What's going on? The Tianyu Empress felt an indescribable pain in her heart. She couldn't understand it. Her life wasn't supposed to be like this. She had a son that she couldn't be more proud of. He was the future hope of the Tianyu imperial family. She, as the Empress, should be living a carefree life with limitless glory. And she was indeed like this before. But why did things suddenly become like this? The Fei clan was wiped out, and because of that, they made an enemy of evil Dr. Gui Tong. What exactly was going on? While the Tianyu Empress was crying, Yuan Xue was also at a loss. Father meant that they couldn't take revenge for the Fei clan? They didn't even have a chance to take revenge after the Fei clan was wiped out? And they even asked him not to take his anger out on the imperial family? Yuan Xue's worldview was impacted. She always thought that her father and mother were omnipotent. But now, it was clear that she was wrong. Yuan Xue's heart was in a mess. But soon, she thought of something else and hurriedly said to the Tianyu Empress, "Mother, don't cry. The Fei clan still has hope. Did you forget? Little uncle. He was sent by you. He's not at the Fei clan, so he's definitely fine." The Tianyu Empress was stunned. She quickly wiped her tears. "Yes. Fiji. And him. My Fei family's direct bloodline has not been exterminated." At this point, the Empress of Tianyu finally had some hope. As long as Fiji was still around, the Fei family would not be completely annihilated. There was still hope for them to rise again. However, their thoughts were completely shattered by the timid words of the maid beside them. Your Highness, Your Highness. King Xiaowu's corpse is also in the Fei clan's mansion. It has been confirmed that he is dead. What did you say? The joy that had just appeared on the Empress' face was instantly extinguished by the servant girl's words. Fiji is also in the Fei family mansion. How was this possible? I clearly sent him to exterminate the Luo family. How could he appear in the Fei family's mansion? This is impossible. Empress Tianyu couldn't help but scream. Yu Wenxue was also shocked. At this moment, Emperor Tianyu, who had just left in a rage, thought of Yu Wenmo. He turned around and walked back. Hearing these words, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He rushed in and slapped the Tianyu Empress. Chapter 370. Sending Fiji to exterminate the Luo clan? Needless to say, Fiji must have offended evil Dr. Ghost Eye along the way. In the end, the Fei clan was exterminated and might even implicate Tianyu's imperial family. I told you not to provoke the Luo clan. Don't provoke them. Did you turn a deaf ear to my words? Otherwise, how could the Fei clan have offended evil Dr. Ghost Eye? How could they have been exterminated? How could his secret funds have disappeared without a trace? Emperor Tianyu's chest heaved with anger. He pointed at the Empress and Yu Wenxue with a furious expression. Pass down my orders. From today onwards, strip the Empress and the 7th Princess of their authority. Apart from enjoying the glory of the Empress and the 7th Princess, they're not allowed to interfere in anything. They're not allowed to mobilize a single soldier. Stupid women are the root of a family's downfall. I've finally seen it for myself. And you? He turned to the petrified Yu Wenxue and shouted, Don't think I don't know that you're the one who instigated your mother. What did I tell you before? It seems you don't put me in your eyes at all. Guards. Emperor Tianyu's expression was fierce. Drag the 7th princess away and flog her 20 times. Ever since the Fei clan was exterminated, Emperor Tianyu had been suppressing his anger. Now it all exploded. He pointed a finger at Yu Wenxue and ordered angrily, Beat her up. Ah, mother. Save me, mother. Yu Wenxue dodged with all her might, not wanting to be caught by the palace servants. However, the servants serving Emperor Tianyu were no ordinary palace maids. They quickly caught her and pressed her to the ground. Ah! Yu Wenshue's shrill cry rang out. Xueqi! Seeing Yu Wenxue being flogged, Empress Tianyu struggled to get up from the bed. But as soon as she moved, her head spun and she almost fainted again. She could only lie on the bed and watch Yu Wenxue being flogged. At the same time, in the spirit vessel, Luo Qingtong's aura continued to rise. The spirit qi around her had almost condensed into a whirlpool and was continuously flowing into her body. Stage 1 Great Martial General, Stage 2. It only slowed down when it reached the 6th phase. Everyone in the Heavenly Evil Valley thought that Luo Qingtong had finished her breakthrough. Unexpectedly, her body trembled slightly. After breaking through the 6th stage barrier, her aura continued to rise slowly. Pa! Luo Qingtong's aura stabilized after breaking through to stage 7. She opened her eyes. Master. Everyone hurried over to pay their respects. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Master. Yes. Luo Qingtong nodded her head. She was very happy that she had advanced to the 7th level of the Great Martial General realm. Fighting above one's level was indeed a great way to improve one's strength. She felt the power in her body and smiled slowly. Not bad. Chapter 371. Like King Dongli, Luo Qingtong knew what Luo Xining was up to the moment she heard the news. She thought that the Luo clan was doomed, so she couldn't wait to step on the Luo clan and herself. Luo Qingtong's smile was bloodthirsty. Speaking of which, she was rushing to destroy the Fei clan and had yet to return the gift Luo Xining gave her. But it wasn't too late. Is there still no news of the Luo clan in Windgaze City? She asked the Tianxia Valley expert beside her. Yes. Master, you're in the middle of a breakthrough. Without your orders, we won't dare to make any moves. The expert from Tianxia Valley said respectfully. Without Luo Qingtong's orders, they wouldn't dare to act rashly. Therefore, no one in Windgaze City knew that the Luo clan was fine. As for the aristocratic families that had been suppressed by the royal family, they thought that the Luo clan was doomed when they heard the battle last night. Therefore, no one went to the Luo clan to investigate. By the way, Master, when the Luo clan was attacked last night, the Chu clan gathered troops and wanted to help. But they were surrounded by the imperial guards led by 6th Prince Cheng. The troops only retreated in the morning. The expert from Tianxia Valley reported. Luo Qingtong didn't need to give any orders about what happened last night. The experts from Tianxia Valley would naturally help her find out the truth. Old Master Chu? Luo Qingtong thought of Old Master Chu, who had followed the imperial guards to the Luo clan to announce the decree and then advised her to take a step back. She nodded lightly. The Chu clan has a good leader. Old Master Chu was very similar to Old Master Luo in some aspects. He was tough and upright. The Chu clan must have been targeted by the royal family when Old Master Chu followed the imperial guards to the Luo clan. Therefore, when they were about to send troops that night, they were immediately stopped. But although the Chu clan didn't come, however, she would remember this favor. Send a message to the Luo clan and ask them to send some people to secretly watch over the Chu clan. Don't let their people be bullied. As for the rest, don't touch them yet. Luo Qingtong ordered with a faint smile on her lips. Let's go back and watch a great show. She only hoped that Luo Xinning and the others would not disappoint her. They had to make this show a hit. Yes. The group of people answered in a deep voice and got off the spirit ship together with Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong put away the spirit boat and the group flew towards Windgaze City. Meanwhile, in Windgaze City, in the huge square outside the palace, Luo Xinning kicked a challenger who was charging at her and sent him flying. Bang! The tyrannical chi that came from her feet sent her opponent flying. At the same time, it also kicked the pillar on the side of the arena, causing it to shake violently with a bang. Hua! Seeing this incomparably swift and fierce attack, the surrounding spectators all let out a cry of surprise. The strength of a rank 4 martial general is indeed unique. No one in the entire eastern border country can compare to her. I'm afraid Luo Xinning will take first place in this year's recruitment examination. Yes. She's only 14 years old. No one can compare to her strength at this age. Almost all the disciples of the major families have tried, but no one was her match. They were all sent flying with a few kicks. Chapter 372. There was an endless stream of discussion all around. Luo Xinning stood on the stage, looking proud. At this moment, she was dressed in red and looked very dazzling. Coupled with her performance in the arena, she was even more eye-catching. At this moment, Luo Xinning was the center of attention. Luo Qingtong, did you see that? I did it. The daughter of a concubine from the second branch of the Luo family, who was once under your spotlight, is now stepping on your head. The daughter of the first wife of the Luo family is now moaning under some disgusting man. Without the title of the future wife of the fifth prince, what do you have left? I will make sure you don't even have the right to look up to me in the future. I will crush all the shadows in front of you with my own hands. Teacher. After the competition, Luo Xianning bowed to the 3 instructors on the spectator stand. The 3 of them nodded. Especially Elder Chu, who was smiling from ear to ear. Luo Xianning had won a lot of face for him. Her anger towards Luo Xianning for causing her to lose face in front of so many people had almost dissipated. Good. Not bad. He nodded. The other 2 teachers nodded as well. Luo Xinning's ability and potential were indeed the strongest in the Dongli Kingdom. If nothing went wrong, she would be the winner of the assessment. There were many benefits to being the winner. In the future, the winner of each kingdom could even compete for the genius ranking in the Tianyu Branch Academy. If Luo Xinning could be on the genius ranking in the future, it would be a great honor for them. Therefore, they were very pleased with Luo Xinning. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge? One of the teachers looked around and asked. Below the arena, there was complete silence, and no one responded. Okay. The teacher asked 3 times. Seeing that no one answered, he nodded and said, Now, let's announce the name list. Before he could finish, Luo Xinning's voice was heard. Teacher, I have something to report. As she spoke, she glanced at the place where the Chu family was, and the smile in her eyes was cold. Chu Wenhao tried to plot against me in the previous battle. I don't think such a person deserves to enter the Tianyu Branch Academy. Teachers, please consider his name carefully. Luo Xinning. As soon as she said that, everyone in the Chu family was instantly enraged. You're slandering me. Chu Wenhao looked at her angrily. He did not do that at all. Luo Xinning was slandering him. Looking at his eyes, Luo Xinning sneered in her heart. That was right. She was deliberately slandering Chu Wenhao. But so what? Can anyone prove it? With such a crime on his back, Chu Wenhao could forget about entering Tianyu Branch Academy. Even if there was a quota, it would be eliminated. This was the result of the Chu family trying to help the Luo family. All the friends of the Luo family were her enemies. They could only blame the stupidity of the Chu family for choosing the wrong path. Luo Xinning smiled coldly. Sure enough, Chu Wenhao's name wasn't on the following list. The other party was one of the most powerful people below Luo Xinning. It was impossible for him to not be on the list. The biggest possibility was that the instructors had removed Chu Wenhao's name from the list because of Luo Xinning's words. The Chu family was furious, but they could not do anything to Luo Xinning. She was already the top student in the examination. If nothing went wrong, she would be even more impressive after entering the Tianyu Branch Academy. The Chu family could not compare at all. Even if they had to suffer this loss, they could only swallow it. Just as the Chu family was furious, Luo Xinning's name was called. Luo Xinning, the examination of Dongli Nation, top student. Chapter 373. At this moment, a figure suddenly rushed in from outside the crowd and landed on the arena with a thud. Sorry, I'm late? Luo Qingtong raised her eyes slightly. Her clear and bright eyes looked at the crowd below the stage with a smile. She had just gone back to visit her grandfather and made some eye recovery medicine for herself. She almost missed the time. But now it seemed just right. Looking at Luo Xinning's shocked expression, Luo Qingtong smiled. What's wrong, my good sister? Don't you recognize me? Luo Qingtong sighed at Luo Xinning's shamelessness. No matter what she said, Luo Xinning was determined to use the Luo surname and would not change it. Luo Xinning wondered what was wrong with her to want to replace the Luo family. But since this was the case, it was fine. She would use her identity as the Luo family's sister to end things for the original owner. After all, Luo Xinning was heartless and ungrateful, but the original owner had always treated her as her own sister. Since Luo Xinning was so unwilling to admit defeat to the original owner, then she would use her identity to trample her into the mud. She would repay the favor she received from her at the Nine Magi Mountain. You! Luo Qingtong, are you all right? And your eyes, are they healed? Luo Xinning looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. She could not believe what was happening. The Manghui guards had attacked the Luo family, and the Luo family would be wiped out. Even if Luo Qingtong could escape, the bandits he had arranged would not let her escape unscathed. What was going on? Not only Luo Xinning, but everyone below the arena was shocked by Luo Qingtong's sudden appearance. Especially Prince Dongli, who almost jumped up from his seat. How was this possible? Luo Qingtong was unharmed. He did not believe that Luo Xinning would let Luo Qingtong go. She knew about the Manghui guards' attack. How could she not take the opportunity to scheme against Luo Qingtong? How could she be safe and sound? And if she was safe, then the Luo family. Dongli King's heart trembled as he thought about it. He almost couldn't control his panic and almost fell back from his seat. Instead, it was the personal attendant beside him who hurriedly supported him when he saw this, allowing him to barely stabilize his body. Send the Imperial Guards to the Luo clan to investigate what's going on. King Dongli roared in his heart, but he pretended to be calm on the surface. He secretly sent a message to his servant, who hurriedly ran out. Luo Qingtong glanced at the guard who left and then looked at the pale face of Dongli King. She smiled faintly and didn't say anything. There would be a surprise from King Dongli later, but now was not the time. She shifted her gaze back to Luo Xinning. That's right, sister. You've always been proud of your sisterly love. What? You're so surprised to see that my eyes have recovered. Don't you want my eyes to recover? Luo Qingtong looked at Luo Xinning with a smile. That beautiful smile, in Luo Xinning's eyes, was like a vengeful ghost. She couldn't help but take a step back. She looked at Luo Qingtong with unspeakable shock and panic. If Luo Qingtong was here, she could say that she had escaped by luck. But what about her eyes? Chapter 374. Luo Xinning was vicious. After she got the bottle of poison, she found someone to try one drop. The effect was very satisfactory. More importantly, she was very sure that there was no cure for the poison. But now, Luo Qingtong's eyes were healed. How was this possible? Luo Xinning was shocked, frightened and panicked. Her eyes flashed as she looked at Luo Qingtong's face, which was even more beautiful after her eyes recovered. The jealousy in her heart grew wildly like weeds. especially Luo Qingtong's eyes. In the past, Luo Qingtong's eyes were praised as limpid autumn water eyes that were like smoke and jade. But at this moment, perhaps because Luo Qingtong's eyes were healed after being destroyed, there seemed to be a bloody light rippling in her eyes. She was so beautiful that she could topple cities. Luo Qingtong's blood-red eyes would only turn completely red when she activated her eye technique or when she was agitated. Usually, there was only a thin layer of blood mist floating in her eyes. It was like a floating cloud, which set off her clear eyes and made her look extremely beautiful. The blood color reflected the clear sky, and the clouds covered the moonlight. Luo Qingtong's eyes were even more beautiful than before they were destroyed. Her already outstanding charm was further enhanced. She was like a cloud, like the moon, like a demon, like a demon. The two completely different qualities of being proud and lofty and bewitching were miraculously fused together because of this pair of eyes. Luo Xinning thought about the half of her face that was disfigured and then looked at Luo Qingtong's beautiful face. The hatred in her heart soared to the extreme. This wave of hatred even suppressed the fear and panic she felt just now. Luo Qingtong, you don't have to pretend to be sisters with me anymore. I've been a joke in your eyes for so long. Do you think I'm willing to continue being a joke? Luo Xinning slowly raised her head and looked at Luo Qingtong coldly. I had to swallow my pride in front of you because my status is not as high as yours. But now, do you see it? Luo Qingtong, I'm now the top student of the Tianyu Branch Academy. I'm about to enter the Tianyu Branch Academy. In the future, I might even be able to enter the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. What do you have to compete with me? She sneered coldly. Is it just an empty title of being the future wife of the fifth prince? Or is it this face that's just a facade? Luo Qingtong, you've always been the luckiest person ever since you were a child. You are the only direct descendant of the Luo clan. Grandfather dotes on you, and you have a fiancé like the fifth prince. Even your cultivation talent isn't bad. But now, where was the #1 genius of the Luo clan? Luo Qingtong, for so long, your strength has always been at the martial master realm. You. Luo Xinning's words stopped abruptly. She looked at Luo Qingtong's rising aura in shock. Both of them used drugs to improve their strength. What right did Luo Qingtong have to criticize her? Luo Xinning just had a better life. Luo Qingtong, even if your aura is stronger than mine, I will use facts to show you what real strength is. Luo Xinning said as she attacked Luo Qingtong. She was vicious. When she was in the Tianyu Empire, she knew that her strength was not as solid as her peers because of drugs. Therefore she studied a lot of life and death fighting skills. She did not believe that Luo Qingtong could defeat her. Boom! Luo Xinning's move was extremely vicious. Chapter 376. Bang! Luo Qingtong dodged the attack and grabbed Luo Xinning's punch. She pinched it and pressed it down. Then, she bent her knee and hit it with a bang. Ah! Luo Xinning screamed in pain. Her right arm was broken into two. White bones pierced out from the wound. She continued to wave her other hand towards Luo Qingtong. Bang! The two of them exchanged blows in the air. Luo Qingtong's power broke Luo Xinning's defense and sent her flying with a kick. Bang! Luo Xinning's robe swelled up. The power of Luo Qingtong's kick almost came out from her back. Bang, bang, bang. The two of them exchanged blows in the air. Luo Qingtong was completely suppressing Luo Xinning. Luo Qingtong did not even use her eye technique. She defeated Luo Xinning with her fighting skills. The audience below the stage was already dumbfounded. Luo Xinning was so arrogant just now, and now she was in such a sorry state. Luo Qingtong was so powerful. Just now, when her cultivation suddenly rose to the martial general realm, everyone was shocked. Now they were even more shocked. The top genius of Eastern Fence Academy and the top student of the assessment are definitely going to change today. Someone said as he looked at the 3 mentors on the stand. The other 2 mentors were still fine. They were very interested in Luo Qingtong's appearance. In the recruitment test, as long as one met the requirements, they could enter the arena to compete. The mentors would decide the number of participants based on the battle. Luo Qingtong's strength had met the requirements. The rest was up to her and Luo Xinning to fight for the top position. Obviously, Luo Xinning was not as good as her. Compared to the two of them, Elder Chu's face was extremely ugly. Luo Qingtong was fine. Not only that, she even beat Luo Xinning. Seeing Luo Xinning being beaten by Luo Qingtong in the arena, Elder Chu's face felt like it was being slapped again and again. Luo Xianning was such a disappointment. She was beaten up like this. Didn't she say that Luo Qingtong's talent was not as good as hers? Now it seemed that she was the one who was inferior. Elder Chu was so angry that his face turned green. The Chus were shocked at first, but then they were happy. Father. Luo Qingtong is fine. The eldest Chu looked at Luo Qingtong, who was beating Luo Xinning in the arena. If she was fine, did that mean that the Luo family was fine too? They also saw the king hurriedly send a servant away. He must have gone to check on the situation of the Luo family. That's possible. Elder Chu's heart was excited. It seems that something has happened. You should send someone back to take a look. If the Luo family is really fine, then immediately mobilize the Chu family's private army and join forces with the Luo family. Don't give the royal family another chance. When old Master Chu said that, his expression turned cold. King Dongli had gone too far. Why would Luo Xinning target Chu Wenhao? It was because the Chus wanted to help the Luo family. But if the royal family did not leak the information, how would Luo Xinning know about it? Obviously, King Dongli had decided to eliminate the Chus after the Luo family. That was why he did not allow Wenhao to be admitted to Tianyu branch school. Since that was the case, why was he still holding on to the friendship? The royal family had never treated them as pillars. Bang! 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 Chapter 377. She was also wearing red. When Luo Qingtong wore it, she looked domineering and evil. It was like an extremely beautiful poppy flower that had bloomed to the extreme. However, the fragrance that was emitted from within was an irresistible poison. When people wore red, it was fire. When Luo Qingtong wore red, it was poison. It was poison that made people willing to be seduced, attracted and intoxicated. Boom! She kicked Luo Xinning from the air onto the arena. Luo Qingtong bent her knees and jumped down from the air like a butterfly. Bang! Luo Xinning rolled on the ground at the critical moment. Luo Qingtong smashed the ground that she was lying on into pieces. In the next second, she lifted her leg and swept the refined iron planks of the arena away. They flew towards Luo Xinning, who was rolling on the ground. Too weak. Luo Qingtong approached Luo Xinning amidst the flying iron planks. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Luo Xinning, whose hair was disheveled like a ghost. She whispered in her ear, "Luo Xinning, is this how you want to show me what real strength is?" Luo Qingtong's words deeply provoked Luo Xinning. From the beginning until now, she had been beaten by Luo Qingtong. Luo Xinning could have finished her in one move, but she did not. Luo Qingtong was playing with her. She wanted to tell everyone that no matter how hard Luo Xinning tried, she could only be suppressed by her. She wanted to tell everyone that her ambition, desire, and endurance were nothing in front of Luo Xinning. Luo Xinning had never been so clear about this before. She hated Luo Qingtong. Why was she better than her in every aspect when they were both daughters of the Luo family? Was she better than her? Luo Xinning deliberately got close to her and gained her trust. Teasing her like a dog, playing with her in the palm of his hand. She was like an idiot as she offered all her good things to him. She had been fooled by him like a fool. She had always obeyed him, but ever since the incident at the Nine Magi Mountain, everything had changed. Luo Qingtong. I should have killed you long ago. Luo Xinning gritted her teeth and said slowly. She should not have listened to the seventh princess at the Nine Magi Mountain and kept Luo Qingtong alive to torture. She should have just killed her. That way, today's events would not have happened. Boom. After Luo Xianning finished speaking, the aura on her body changed instantly. Boom. The aura around her surged, and in an instant, a violent and terrifying power blasted out from her hand. Shwa! Luo Qingtong jumped up and dodged the force. She flipped backward and appeared a few meters away from Luo Xinning. Heirloom armor. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes and looked at the armor that appeared on Luo Xinning's body. Luo Xinning sacrificed an endless amount of life force to the heirloom armor to activate the power of the armor. Luo Qingtong, I want you dead. Luo Xinning pounced on Luo Qingtong crazily. Bam! Luo Qingtong raised her hand to block the attack. With a swoosh, her feet brushed against the ground and she retreated a few meters. Bam! She tilted her head and dodged Luo Xining's kick. Boom! The railings behind Luo Qingtong broke into pieces. Chapter 378. Luo Qingtong die. Luo Xining's face was ferocious as she charged towards Luo Xining again. Luo Qingtong licked her lips as she saw Luo Xining charging towards her. She could feel a wound on her cheek caused by the wood shavings. The color of blood in her eyes suddenly intensified. The color in her eyes became fainter and fainter. In the next second, her eyes turned completely red like blood. The intense and shocking color looked like the blood that seeped out from the boundless hell. Luo Qingtong's beautiful face suddenly became extremely demonic and devilish, and she was filled with demonic allure. Luo Xining was so close to her that she was shocked by the blood in her eyes. Luo Qingtong, her eyes. Idiot! Luo Xining spat out coldly. The way Luo Qingtong looked at Luo Xining was cold and evil. She raised her hand and slammed it heavily on her heirloom armor. You want to kill me with something that my parents left for me? Luo Xining, tell me, how stupid are you? Luo Qingtong said. In fact, she had already activated her eye technique and saw through the weakness of the armor. Bam! After saying this, Luo Qingtong's palm slammed heavily on the life gate of the armor heirloom. Boom! Luo Xining's power penetrated the armor and sent her flying. No matter how powerful the treasure was, it would be useless if its weakness was seen through by someone who was not powerful enough to control it. Boom! Luo Xining's body landed heavily on the arena. Before she could struggle to get up, Luo Qingtong's figure suddenly flashed and appeared in front of her like a ghost. She lifted her foot and stepped on her back harshly. Bam! Luo Xianing was just about to get up, but she was instantly stomped back down by the foot. Crack! Luo Xining's spine was broken by Luo Qingtong's stomp. Not only that, but even the floor of the arena trembled violently, and countless cracks appeared on it. Ah! Luo Xining screamed in agony. She was in so much pain that her body twitched. Luo Xining, I remember that I said that you are not worthy of using the Luo family's items. It seems that you did not understand. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she lifted her hand and removed Luo Xining's heirloom armor. Luo Xining could not resist at all. She could only lie on the ground like a dead dog. Bam! After removing the armor, Luo Qingtong lifted her leg and crushed the bones in Luo Xining's legs. Seeing her scream, Luo Qingtong's eyes turned cold. Luo Xining, I am returning this kick to you on behalf of the original me. Back then, I used the Luo family's resources to nourish your body and help you cultivate. I did not expect to raise a wolf. Luo Qingtong's eyes were no longer bloodshot. However, the coldness in her eyes was enough to freeze someone to death. On the Nine Magi Mountain, you led your men to attack me while I was breaking through. You crippled my cultivation, blinded my eyes, and threw me to a bunch of trash. I will return all of these to you. Chapter 379. Ah! This time, Luo Xining screamed even louder than the previous 2 times. Her meridians were destroyed and her elixir field was shattered. This kind of pain was not something that could be compared to ordinary pain. Luo Xining's years of cultivation were all removed by Luo Qingtong's actions. Luo Xining could not help but cry out in pain. She felt as if her body and soul had been hit hard at the same time. And this was not the end. Bang! Luo Qingtong kicked her into the air. Luo Xining flew up like a pile of mud and hit the railing of the arena. Then she bounced back. All the bones in her body were broken in an instant. At this point in time, Luo Xining could not even make a sound. I'm giving you this kick on behalf of my grandfather. Luo Qingtong walked in front of Luo Xining and looked at her coldly. Luo Xining, without my grandfather, there would be no Luo family. Your family enjoyed the convenience and glory of the Luo family, but you poisoned him and forced him to disperse his cultivation. I will settle all these debts with you one by one. As she spoke, the blood in her eyes flashed uncontrollably. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Luo Qingtong bent down and whispered in Luo Xining's ear. You colluded with outsiders to attack the Luo family, and almost caused my grandfather to die. Luo Xining, you can't make up for all these crimes even if you die 10,000 times. Luckily, You have found a home for yourself. Don't worry, the bandits you found last night are waiting for you at the Luo family. When the time comes, you can enjoy whatever you want. I won't interfere." As Luo Qingtong spoke, she grabbed Luo Xining's chin and stuffed a pill that she had refined into Luo Xining's mouth without waiting for her to speak. This pill could allow Luo Xining to maintain her fair and smooth skin under all kinds of torture. However, the price was that her entire body was in pain as if her skin was being peeled off. This kind of pain was enough to make people faint countless times. Didn't Luo Xining want to scratch Luo Qingtong's face and sell her to the lowest level brothel to serve the most disgusting customers? Luo Qingtong fulfilled her wish and let her enjoy the arrangement herself. Not only that, it also allowed her to possess jade-like skin and appearance, allowing her to attract even more customers. She would just treat it as a show of their deep sisterly love. The moment the pill entered her mouth, an intense pain engulfed her. Luo Xining could not take it anymore. She screamed and fainted. "Take her away!" Luo Qingtong kicked Luo Xining, who was like a pile of mud, out of the arena. In an instant, a battle slave expert hiding in the dark appeared and caught him. "Stop!" At this moment, Elder Chu and the others finally regained their senses. They did not expect Luo Qingtong to be so fast. She actually crippled Luo Xining in the blink of an eye. When Luo Xining used her family heirloom armor, they thought that Luo Qingtong was going to be in trouble. Unexpectedly, the one who was defeated in the end was Luo Xining. And Luo Qingtong's methods were so vicious. Looking at Luo Xining's deformed appearance, many people felt a chill down their spines. Among them, Elder Chu felt it the most. He and Luo Qingtong had a feud to begin with. Chapter 380. Bam! He slammed the table and stood up. "Luo Qingtong, you've gone too far. This is a place for the entrance examination, not a place for your life and death battle. How could you be so heavy-handed during the assessment? You're really vicious and unbearable. Hurry up and give yourself up." As he spoke, his eyes flashed fiercely, and he charged towards Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong's first-place qualification was not something that Elder Chu could arbitrarily remove. However, Elder Chu was unwilling to let someone who had a grudge against him enter Tianyu Branch School. Luo Qingtong had been so heavy-handed towards Luo Xining. Who knew if she held a grudge against him? This was a good opportunity to cripple her in the name of being heavy-handed. By then, he could say that it was an accident. Who could do anything about it? As he thought about it, Elder Chu's expression became even more vicious. His attack towards Luo Qingtong was also extremely vicious. Elder Chu! Seeing his actions, the other two tutors were shocked. They wanted to stop him but failed to do so. They immediately chased after him. Below the arena, Old Master Chu was so angry that his lungs were about to explode when he saw this. Shameless! As a tutor, how dare you attack a student who is participating in the assessment? As he spoke, he suddenly stood up from his seat and rushed into the arena in a flash. He stood in front of Luo Qingtong. "Luo girl, don't be afraid. I'll stop him." As he spoke, he charged towards Elder Chu. "Grandpa Chu!" Luo Qingtong shouted. Seeing that Old Master Chu had already rushed up, she immediately waved at the novice martial emperor, who was preparing to attack in the dark. The latter understood and went back into hiding. "Grandpa Chu, you can do it." Seeing that Old Master Chu was charging towards Elder Chu, Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed. She instantly saw through Elder Chu's weaknesses and the flaws in his attack. She glanced at Old Master Chu again. Following that, two silent auras instantly struck out. With a swoosh, Luo Qingtong's two blasts of energy hit Old Master Chu from behind, but they didn't injure him. One of the two forces struck Old Master Chu's elbow while the other struck his wrist. The two forces supported and suppressed each other. Old Master Chu felt his elbow lift for no apparent reason as his wrist suddenly pressed down. Boom! The attack in his hand flew out. It was much stronger than the attacks he had unleashed in the past. Not only that. Bang! His attack collided with Old Chu's attack, and surprisingly, the other party's energy chi was broken apart. Before Old Master Chu could react, Elder Chu was instantly sent flying by the remaining force of the strike. He slammed into the railing of the arena with a boom. The whole place was silent. Even the Chu family members, who were sweating profusely from anxiety, were stunned. Everyone looked at Old Master Chu, who had sent Elder Chu flying, with indescribable shock. Oh my God! Were they dreaming? Old Master Chu, who was a peak martial lord, sent Elder Chu, who was a novice soul king, flying? Was this some sort of fantasy story? The sky wasn't even dark yet. The eldest Chu pinched his thigh so hard that he cried out in pain. Only then did he confirm that he wasn't dreaming. Oh my God! Since when did father become so powerful? He looked at Old Master Chu in disbelief. The latter was still in a daze. That move just now had given him a fright. He had never used such a powerful move before. Chapter 381. Was this a perfect display of power? Old Man Chu's jaw dropped. After practicing the Chu family's ultimate move for so long, he was finally able to unleash it to perfection? But if he were to try it again, he wouldn't be able to do it again. Old Man Chu was still in a daze when Luo Qingtong rushed in front of him. Grandpa Chu, you're amazing. She gave him a thumbs up. You were able to defeat an early-stage Soul King. Haha. No, I was just lucky. Old Man Chu didn't know what was going on, but he was the one who sent Old Man Chu flying. He only said that Old Man Chu had bad intentions and bad luck. He just happened to see him unleash a perfect display of power. However, what was with his attack? It was like a piece of tofu that broke with a single poke? Old Man Chu couldn't figure it out. Could it be that Old Man Chu, the head examiner of the Tianyu Academy, was just a useless person? He had the strength of an early-stage Soul King, but he wasn't strong enough at all? If Old Man Chu knew what Old Man Chu was thinking, he would have jumped up in anger. Why couldn't he do it? Someone had clearly seen through the weakness of his attack. Old Man Chu. The other two instructors rushed over and helped Old Man Chu up from the ground. Old Man Chu shook off their hands and glared at Old Man Chu. What kind of trick did you use? How could his attack be broken so easily? Old Man Chu had taken a heavy blow because he didn't think highly of Old Man Chu. If he hadn't activated his defenses in time, he wouldn't have been able to stand up. Who used a trick? Old Man Chu sneered at him. Old Man Chu, you should watch your words in front of everyone. You're the one who used a trick when you attacked a student as an instructor. Luo Qingtong used too much force. She's not someone who's kind to others. I'm teaching her a lesson. Otherwise, how will I explain myself to others if I use such a heavy hand when sparring with my fellow students in the academy? He glared at Luo Qingtong as he spoke. Luo Qingtong, since you are the future wife of the 5th prince of the Tianyu Empire, I will give you a chance. Release Luo Xinning now and kneel down to apologize. Then, I will not pursue the crime of you attacking too heavily today. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Elder Chu was aggressive. He knew that Luo Qingtong had hurt Luo Xinning because of the grudge between them, but he deliberately did not mention it. He only used the fact that Luo Qingtong had used too much force when she was sparring with her fellow disciples. He insisted that Luo Qingtong release Luo Xinning and kneel down to apologize. This was an extremely vicious move. If Luo Qingtong compromised, she would have to endure the humiliation and release her enemy, Luo Xinning. If he didn't compromise, he would have a reason to attack again. As for Luo Qingtong, it would be even better if she gave up first place and refused to enter the Tianyu branch. Since he wasn't a student of the academy and had even stripped the previous champion, he had all the more reason to make a move. What's wrong with ruining Luo Qingtong's chance to enter the Tianyu branch? Thinking of this, Elder Chu looked at Luo Qingtong gloomily. Elder Chu, you've gone too far. The other two instructors disagreed. Elder Chu was obviously using his position to avenge a personal grudge. The two instructors had heard about the incident between Luo Qingtong and Luo Xinning in the Wind Gaze City. It was not Luo Qingtong's fault at all. Chapter 382. Humph. You don't have to say anything more. Luo Qingtong was so ruthless in the entrance examination that she crippled a student who had already been selected. We can't let this go. Elder Chu refused to back down. He looked at Luo Qingtong coldly and said, Luo Qingtong, do you admit your mistake or not? Elder Chu, I don't understand. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and looked at him. It was Luo Xinning who tried to kill me first. As her teacher, shouldn't you be the one to apologize to me on her behalf? Otherwise, why should I apologize? Elder Chu flew into a rage the moment he heard Luo Qingtong's words. How dare you! You have no respect for your elders and are full of nonsense. Luo Qingtong, since you won't admit your mistake today, I'll force you to admit your mistake. He glanced at the two mentors beside him and shouted angrily, Holy Pen Touch! Spirit, show yourself. Elder Chu! The other two mentors were shocked and furious at his words. How dare you touch the spirit of the holy object? They didn't expect Elder Chu to use the spirit of the pen touch just to deal with Luo Qingtong. This was the spirit of the holy pen touch. The holy pen touch was the treasure of the Saint Academy. It was said that anyone below the Saint realm would die with a touch of it. Even a Saint realm cultivator would be seriously injured by a touch of it. The mentors who went out to recruit students were all given a spirit of the holy pen touch to protect them. Although it wasn't as powerful as the real holy pen touch, it was enough to deal with ordinary high-level cultivators. But now, Elder Chu used it just for a student who had won the first place in the entrance examination. He actually used the spirit of the holy pen touch to deal with her. He had gone too far. Boom! With Elder Chu's shout, a huge spirit of the pen touch appeared in front of everyone. As soon as the spirit of the pen touch appeared, everyone felt the pressure of the spiritual aura around them change. A boundless and terrifying pressure was emitted from the spirit of the pen touch. Whoosh! When the pen spirit body was activated, Yi Qianming, who was soaking in the medicinal liquid in the black field, suddenly opened his eyes. Wang! The Shifeng dragon ring on his left ring finger gave off a black light. Saint Realm Aura. Is that woman in danger? In an instant, Yi Qianming's heart moved. Following the connection between the 10 Directions dragon ring and the 9 Nether Phoenix ring, a wisp of his mind instantly appeared in the consciousness space of the 9 Nether Phoenix ring and merged with a divided soul. In the outside world, everyone was instantly suppressed on the spot by the sudden appearance of the holy brush spirit, and they were unable to move at all. Among them were the 2 instructors from the branch academy. Old Chu, you're too much. Release the power of the brush spirit. A mentor reprimanded angrily. Humph. I am here to discipline the students on behalf of the academy. You have no right to interfere with me. The 2 mentors were enough to stop Old Chu from attacking Luo Qingtong. He had already planned this out, which was why he released the pen spirit body to suppress the 2 mentors. Humph. Let's see who can stop me from attacking Luo Qingtong now. Everyone was bound on the spot, including Luo Qingtong. However, she could feel that the life and death sword and the 9-story exquisite pagoda in her body were not affected. Obviously, the level of these 2 treasures was much higher than the holy brush spirit body. Just as the bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed and she was about to use her mind to summon the life and death sword. Chapter 383. A figure suddenly rushed out and appeared in front of Luo Qingtong. Yi Qianming? Looking at the figure that appeared, Luo Qingtong was a little dumbfounded, and the thought of using the life and death sword suddenly trembled. Oh my god! Why did this man suddenly appear here? But soon, she found that this figure was very illusory and not real. Was it the divided soul in the 9 Phoenix ring? Luo Qingtong quickly reacted. By the time she figured out the identity of this figure, Old Chu had already rushed up. Luo Qingtong, kneel down! He shouted with a ferocious face. He did not take Yi Qianming, who suddenly appeared beside Luo Qingtong, seriously. The power of the holy pen spirit was incomparable. Even if it was just a spirit, it was not comparable to ordinary experts. These mentors who went out had the holy pen spirit. Even if they encountered experts of the Saint Realm, they could delay them for a while and escape. No matter what the identity of this man who suddenly appeared beside Luo Qingtong was, it was impossible for him to compete with the holy pen spirit. Therefore, Old Chu's voice sounded particularly arrogant and domineering. Kneel down? Hearing his words, Yi Qianming, who had just broken through the consciousness space of the 9 Phoenix ring, was instantly angry. His woman would not kneel down even in heaven and earth. Now, such a clown dared to make her kneel down. An indescribable anger rose in his heart. Yi Qianming did not care about the surrounding environment and directly launched an attack with a bang. In an instant, with a loud bang, Old Chu was blasted out like a cannonball. The power of the holy pen spirit that enveloped him was shattered. Not only that, his whole body seemed to have been hit hard. All the bones in his body were broken and he collapsed into a ball. With a bang, He hit the palace building outside the square and instantly vomited blood and fainted. Old Chu! Old Chu was sent flying and the body of the holy pen spirit was broken. In an instant, everyone broke free from the mighty and terrible pressure. After all, the two mentors were from the same school as Elder Chu, so they couldn't ignore him. They immediately rushed over. Most of the people just looked at the man beside Luo Qingtong in shock. They didn't know who he was, but he easily sent Old Chu flying with one move and made him vomit blood and faint. Not only did Elder Chu have the spirit of the holy object of the Sacred Academy, but he was also a soul king. He was actually unable to fight back against this man. Just as the crowd was guessing Yi Qianqian's identity, he turned around and looked coldly at the girl beside him. Luo Qingtong? His voice was dangerous. This woman had previously told him that her name was Luo Qi. That was the only name she would admit to. Now, what was up with this Luo Qingtong? Yi Qianxian was instantly enraged. He looked coldly at Luo Qingtong, waiting to see how she would explain. Cough. When Yi Qianxian turned around, Luo Qingtong knew that she was in trouble. She looked at the man's cold eyes. Although she knew that this was not his real body, but just a wisp of his soul, she still couldn't help but feel guilty. What should I do? Once this man's soul returned to his real body, he would immediately know her name. It would be too easy to find out her identity. At that time, everything would be exposed. Chapter 384. There was a way. Luo Qingtong's eyes lit up. Ahem. Thank you for saving me, Senior. She coughed lightly. Senior? Yi Qianxian had been waiting for Luo Qingtong to say that. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Before he could say anything, Luo Qingtong's hand suddenly sucked him in. In an instant, Yi Qianren's figure disappeared before everyone's eyes. Ha! Where was that senior? Everyone was surprised. There were so many of them, but none of them saw how he disappeared. This level of strength was simply too frightening. Luo girl, do you know that powerhouse? Old Master Chu couldn't help but ask. No. Luo Qingtong smiled and shook her head. If I knew such a powerhouse, the Luo family wouldn't have been bullied. That was true. As soon as she said that, everyone nodded in agreement. That powerhouse's strength was too shocking. They didn't see him move, but Elder Chu was sent flying. Elder Chu had used the spirit of the Holy Relic. Although no one knew what the spirit of the Holy Relic was, they knew that it must be very powerful judging from the majestic power and the angry words of the two mentors. Elder Chu was sent flying so easily, which showed how powerful that powerhouse was. If the Luo family knew such a powerhouse, they wouldn't have been bullied by the imperial family of Tianyu. That powerhouse could easily make the imperial family of Tianyu piss their pants and kneel down to beg for mercy. They wouldn't have been able to be so arrogant. Everyone felt relieved as they thought about it. It seems that Elder Chu was unlucky. Of all the things he used, he just had to use the spirit of the Holy Relic. Look at what happened. He angered a powerhouse passing by and got beaten up. He deserved it. That's right. Shameless. He used the spirit of the Holy Relic to deal with a student. I don't believe that he didn't have any evil intentions toward Luo Qingtong. He made it sound so dignified. What a scum. Everyone was full of disdain. The two mentors felt very awkward. As a tutor, Elder Chu actually used the spirit of the holy object to attack a student who had already been admitted to the academy. Moreover, this was a student who was qualified to be the champion. This was really shameless. However, he was already unconscious from his injuries, so they couldn't say anything. They could only bring him back to the Tianyu branch as quickly as possible. As for this matter, they would report it to the academy and let the academy deal with it. Student Luo, this is your first place qualification token. Please report to the school in 1 month. Before the two of them left, they handed over Luo Qingtong's first place qualification token. Thank you, mentors. Luo Qingtong took the token and nodded with a smile. Congratulations, Luo girl. Seeing the first place qualification token in Luo Qingtong's hands, Old Master Chu felt an indescribable envy. Thinking of his grandson who had been eliminated, his face darkened for a moment, but then he forced himself to cheer up and congratulate Luo Qingtong. Grandpa Chu, you must be joking. What congratulations? It should be the same. As Luo Qingtong spoke, She handed over the recommendation letter she got from Luo Xining and smiled. The Chu family missed a place because of the Luo family. I, Luo Qingtong, am not an ungrateful person. Grandpa Chu, please accept this recommendation letter. Luo Qingtong had already heard about Chu Wenhao from slave Zhan. Chapter 385. This. Thank you, Luo family's girl. Old Master Chu looked at the recommendation letter and was pleasantly surprised. Luo Qingtong smiled and placed the letter in Old Master Chu's hands. Don't mention it. Chu Wenhao deserves it. If not for helping the Luo family, the Chu family would not have been hated by Luo Xining and missed the quota. With Chu Wenhao's strength, he could definitely enter the school. That's not the case. Old Master Chu said seriously, I helped the Luo family because I was worried that we would be intimately interdependent. I have my own selfish reasons for doing so. It's not the Luo family's fault that Wenhao was eliminated. I must thank you for your kindness. Luo Qingtong did not argue with him. She just smiled and nodded. After handing the letter to him, she turned and left. She could still hear the Chu family's excited voices from afar. Let's go back. Luo Qingtong said to the people from the Evil Valley who were hiding in the dark. She glanced at the place where King Dongli was sitting. When she saw that there was no one there, her eyes flashed with a dark red light. She would settle the score with the Dongli royal family later. Luo Qingtong. Once they returned to the Luo family, Luo Qingtong closed the door and released something from her sleeve. Instantly, an angry roar was heard. Yi Qianqian's partial soul was trapped in the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding wood together with his consciousness. He had turned into a fist-sized doll and was looking at her angrily. She originally had a very angry expression, but because Yi Qianren's image at this moment was too cute. The Lord, who had suddenly turned into a cute little doll, looked cute even when he was angry. Let go of me. Yi Qianxian was indescribably angry. Not only did this woman lie to him, she even trapped his partial soul in the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding wood. What did she want? Call me Luo Qi. Luo Qingtong interrupted him and walked over to pick him up. Yi Qianxian's soul fragment was imprisoned in the heart of the 1,000-year soul guiding tree. He could not exert any strength and could only let Luo Qingtong carry him. You're clearly called Luo Qingtong, yet you still want to deceive this sovereign. He angrily glared at Luo Qingtong. This woman still wanted to lie to him at this time. If the cold and threatening supremacy was in his original form at this time, his glare would naturally be incomparably majestic. However, at this moment, he was only equivalent to a bolster doll. His short legs and arms, and his small and delicate face, coupled with his heaven-like handsome face, looked extremely cute. Luo Qingtong looked at him and felt her heart itch. She did not expect that after the 1,000-year soul guiding would absorb Yi Qianxian's partial soul fragment, it would shrink him into a little doll. She could not resist the temptation and leaned over to kiss him on the cheek. That name is for others to call, she said with a smile. Yi Qianxian was so cute when he was angry. Luo Qingtong was not wrong. She had given this name in her previous life, and it was for others to call her. Only the name Luo Qi was the one that her heart truly belonged to. Yi Qianxian was stunned when he heard this. Suddenly, the corners of his lips rose uncontrollably. So this woman meant that only this sovereign could call her by the name Luo Qi? Thinking of this, most of the anger in his heart instantly dissipated. Master, the evil doctor attacked in the Empire of Tianyu and destroyed the Fei family of the Empress of Tianyu. Bei Qing and Windfeather had been searching for Luo Qingtong's whereabouts during this time. However, the latter had made a bunch of replicas of the 9 Phoenix Ring. Even if they searched according to the location given by Yi Qianming, it would take a long time. At this moment, they received the news that the evil Dr. Ghost I had appeared in the Empire of Tianyu. After confirming that it was the evil doctor who attacked, they hurriedly sent the news to Yi Qianming. The Fei family. Yi Qianming looked at the message in his hand and narrowed his eyes. Immediately send someone to investigate everything the Fei family has done during this time and send a report to me. In addition, his voice was cold, warn the royal family of the Empire of Tianyu that they are not allowed to touch that woman. His woman, even if she was a little disobedient and unruly, he would teach her a lesson. No one could touch her. Chapter 387. At the Luo family in Dongli country. Luo Qingtong was looking at the angry little Ming Zun in her arms with a smile. Be good, don't be angry. Her eyes were curved, and she kissed Yi Qianming's face while speaking. What do you want to do? Little Ming Zun was a little angry because of her kiss. He looked at Luo Qingtong angrily, and his cheeks were puffed up because of anger. This woman, he asked her to go back with him, but she didn't go back and kept molesting him. She liked him so much, so why didn't she go back with him? I want you. Luo Qingtong looked at him with a smile. She liked to see the angry and helpless look on the man's face, especially little Ming Zun, who was really cute. Why? Can't I? She raised her eyebrows. In front of the harmless little Ming Zun, Luo Qingtong's evil and presumptuous character was revealed. Humph. This woman was so straightforward with her words. She wasn't reserved at all. Although little Ming Zun thought so, he couldn't suppress the joy in his eyes. Then you go back with me. When we go back, I'll allow you to have whatever you want. Yi Qianming said, and looked at her with his burning eyes. If his original body was here, his gaze would be as fiery as it could be, as scorching as it could be. But now, Luo Qingtong looked at his bright and sparkling eyes. She was so adorable that she couldn't feel the burning passion in them. No. She almost nodded and agreed, but Luo Qingtong came back to her senses and quickly refused. She patted her chest with lingering fear. She never reneged on a debt, and she would do what she promised. She almost got herself into trouble just now. This man's current appearance was too deceptive. Fortunately, she had been vigilant. This was also the habit of being hunted down in her previous life. Don't try to trick me. She pinched little Ming Zun's cheek. I won't go back with you. Why? The joy in his heart disappeared instantly, and little Ming Zun looked at Luo Qingtong angrily. He didn't know why she was so stubborn. What's wrong with going back with me? Many people wanted his protection, but this woman didn't want it. Luo Qingtong looked at him strangely. Why did he ask her why? He wanted to catch her. She wouldn't go back with him unless there was a hole in her brain. As expected, the thoughts of a superior were only about whether he wanted it or not whether others were willing or not. So, Luo Qingtong in her previous life, so she could understand Yi Qianming's idea. However, understanding was one thing. It was absolutely impossible for her to go back with him. Then let me ask you, what will you do if you catch me? Of course I will punish you severely. Yi Qianming said without hesitation. Make sure. Ming's he wanted. Damn it. This man was so cruel? Fortunately, she wasn't caught up. Luo Qingtong looked at Yi Qianming with a gloomy face, but she didn't know that the punishment the man said was completely different from what she thought. Okay. She pinched little Ming Zun's cheek. Don't think about how to punish me. Stay here obediently. I won't give you this chance. By the way, do you feel uncomfortable staying in the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood? Luo Qingtong didn't have the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood to imprison her soul before. The power of the soul was turned into power by her. Chapter 388. Humph. I'm extremely powerful. What's there to be uncomfortable about? Yi Qianming snorted coldly with an indescribable arrogance. Besides, will you let me go if I'm not feeling well? Yi Qianming was very unhappy. He vaguely realized that what he said just now seemed to be wrong. But this woman deserved a lesson. She had been hiding from him and lying to him. Couldn't he punish her when he caught her? If it had been anyone else, he would have killed them long ago, all right? He was so tolerant of this woman, but she didn't appreciate it. Thinking of this, he was a little angry. Woman, don't be arrogant, he said angrily. Why was she arrogant because of his favor? Luo Qingtong looked at him and couldn't help but twitch her lips. She was wronged. What was this person thinking? Why was he so angry? Didn't she just ask him if he was feeling uncomfortable? Was that wrong? But thinking that he was imprisoned by her, it was normal for him to be a little angry. What's more, this man had always been high and mighty. If it were her, if someone dared to imprison her, even if it was just a wisp of soul, she would explode in a minute. Thinking of this, she suddenly said very gently, Okay. I'm arrogant because of your favor, okay? Be good. Do you feel uncomfortable? Humph. Her attitude was good. Although Yi Qianxian was depressed, he couldn't lose his temper with her. He immediately snorted and said, "No." He was powerful. Even if it was only the power of one soul, it was incomparably tyrannical. How could he feel uncomfortable? It was just that he was not used to being trapped in the heart of this 1,000-year soul-guiding tree. His face was sullen. Luo Qingtong didn't care. Instead, she felt that this man was very cute. To be honest, she had seen the cold Yi Qianxian, the angry Yi Qianxian, and the charming Yi Qianxian, but she had never seen such a cute lord. The lord who had turned into a little baby was really cute. Even when she was angry, she still looked so cute and proud. Okay, don't be angry. Come eat this. Luo Qingtong smiled and handed him a pill. This was the Yin Soul pill. It was refined by Luo Qingtong when she was refining the Yuan increasing pill and the comprehension spirit pill. However, she had purposely suppressed the retention rate of the medicinal power, so it did not attract the pill lightning. Luo Qingtong was originally going to refine it for Chu Lingfeng's mother. Although Luo Qingtong had sealed her soul back, she was still severely injured and couldn't wake up for a long time. She needed a long time to recuperate. As for the Yin Soul pill, it was used to strengthen the power of the soul. It was just the right time to give it to Yi Qianxian so that his soul wouldn't be damaged from being trapped in the heart of the 1,000-year-old soul-guiding tree. Luo Qingtong just didn't want Yi Qianxian to find her and the Luo family. She didn't want him to be hurt because of her actions. Humph. Yi Qianming looked at Luo Qingtong's smiling face and inexplicably couldn't get angry. He had always liked Luo Qingtong. He liked her so much that he didn't care about his identity as the underworld senior and his high status. He was willing to stay by her side, even if it was just a wisp of his soul. It was just that this woman had to use tricks to prevent him from knowing her true identity. Otherwise, why would he be so angry? Thinking of this, little underworld senior angrily swallowed the pill in his arms. Chapter 389. Is this a pill? He looked at Luo Qingtong. You know how to refine pills? I just learned it not too long ago. Luo Qingtong said. If people were to find out that her so-called not too long ago was actually something that happened a few days ago, who knows how many people's jaws would drop. Pervert. A huge pervert. Amen. Yi Qianxian nodded. Don't casually reveal that you know how to refine pills. Everything you do is under the name of Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Don't let anyone know your identity. Others may not know the true meaning of a pill master, but Yi Qianxian was very clear about it. At this time, he finally understood why Luo Qingtong was hiding her identity. In the past, he was very angry at this woman for being so cunning. But now, it seems that if it wasn't so, with this woman's various abilities, she would have already become the target of all the forces fighting over her. Who knows what kind of things would have happened to her? Even if it was him, if he didn't like this woman, he was afraid that he would treat her as a bargaining chip. Thinking about it, he wasn't so angry at Luo Qingtong for hiding from him. Don't be afraid, this sovereign will protect you. He looked at Luo Qingtong and said seriously. In the future, if you want to sell anything, just take it to the Black Field. No one will dare to do anything to you. His people definitely won't be bullied by others. Luo Qingtong looked at him and blinked her eyes. This was already the second time this man had said something like this. Protect her? Last time, she could still think that he was lying to her and wanted to get away. Could it be the same this time? But why did she have an inexplicable urge to believe him? This feeling of being protected by someone, of having someone to rely on. It's so special. Luo Qingtong clutched her chest, inexplicably feeling that her heart was beating a little faster. She looked at the serious yet still cute little baby in front of her and couldn't help but lean over and give him a light peck on the lips. Sovereign Lord, you're so good. So good that she couldn't help but feel a little moved. But this man. Thinking of his powerful strength, Luo Qingtong suppressed the restless feeling in her heart. No matter how much she wanted something that was destined to be unattainable, she would never touch it. Humph. Yi Qianxian was caught off guard by her sneak attack again, and instantly looked at her with anger. If you have the ability, go find the main body. Let's see if she still dares to molest him like this. What was the point of bullying a dividing soul tier cultivator like him? Yi Qianxian raised his head and glared at Luo Qingtong. His puffy cheeks and slanted almond-shaped eyes were so adorable that one would melt in an instant. Okay. No one had ever called him that before. He just couldn't help being nice to this woman. It was only limited to this woman. No, I like you. Luo Qingtong teased him mischievously. I just like kissing you, she said and kissed the little fellow's lips again. In the end, she even licked it lightly. Instantly, little Ming Zun's face turned red. This woman, does she know that the main body can feel everything that she does to me? Kissing me is the same as kissing the main body. At the same time, outside the black field, Yi Qianxian had just flown into the air when his breathing became unstable. That woman. He covered his lips, and it was hard to tell whether he was embarrassed or angry. That woman. Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth. He really wanted to catch that woman and teach her a lesson every minute. She kept flirting with him. How hateful. Let's go to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. He flew onto the spirit boat that had already been prepared and said coldly. At the same time, Luo Qingtong was also preparing to leave with little Ming Zun. Let's go and do something. I just hope that someone won't wait too long. Chapter 390. In the palace of Dongli, King Dongli was pacing back and forth in the hall. Check it. Check it for me. What the hell is going on? Why are the people of the Tianyu Empire here? But the Luo family is fine. King Dongli was shocked and angry. Since he came back from the square, he had been in a bad mood. Luo Qingtong was fine. He was as surprised and incredulous as Luo Xinning. If she was fine, it meant that the Luo family was fine too. Even the Duke guarding Marquis was fine. Otherwise, how could she have the mind to take the entrance exam? Thinking that Luo Qingtong won the first place in the entrance exam and would enter the Tianyu branch school in the future, King Dongli's head was about to explode. Luo Qingtong's identity was very difficult to deal with. He couldn't touch or kill her. Even the royal family of the Tianyu Empire could only secretly attack the Luo family. Now that Luo Qingtong was admitted to the Tianyu branch school, the Luo family couldn't be touched. Thinking of this, he was agitated. Your Majesty, no matter what happened at that time, we have a deadly feud with the Luo family. I think it's better to join forces with the aristocratic families who didn't do anything last night and destroy the Luo family secretly. King Chenglu stood aside and said with a vicious face. He hated Luo Qingtong so much. He knew that his strength might be gone at any time. He couldn't stop the hatred in his heart, so he kept urging King Dongli to take action. Your Majesty, think about it. Anyone who asks about what happened last night will know what our royal family is planning. If the Luo family falls, Luo Qingtong won't be able to do anything. But he looked at King Dongli, who stopped pacing. Now the Luo family hasn't fallen. If Luo Qingtong knows that we schemed against the Luo family last night, she won't let it go. At that time, she will join forces with the old bastard of the Chu family. Our royal family will be in danger. King Chenglu said patiently. Your Majesty, last night, so many aristocratic families cooperated with us and didn't make a move. They pretended that they didn't hear the movements in the Luo family. They must be afraid of Luo Qingtong's revenge. We can join forces with them and attack the Luo clan. We can kill them without anyone knowing. At that time, our royal family will have no worries, and your Majesty will be able to continue with your ambitions. You will no longer have to worry about the Luo family's restrictions. Your Majesty, please reconsider, he said resolutely and decisively, his expression extremely fierce. King Dongli didn't have time to speak. Pa pa pa. A few crisp slaps resounded in the hall. Good, what a vicious scheme. Chenglu Wangya, I didn't expect you to be such a talent. I really missed you before. Luo Qingtong said as she slowly walked out from the shadows of the main hall. Her footsteps were light and slow, and there was a sweet smile on her face. The moment she appeared, it was as if hundreds of flowers had bloomed in the brightly lit hall, making it seem incomparably beautiful. Luo Qingtong. Seeing the girl appear in this side of the hall, King Chenglu was surprised at first, but then he smiled fiercely. There is a road to heaven, but you don't take it. There is no door to hell, but you rush in. Your Majesty, Luo Qingtong came to the palace alone, giving us a chance. Kill her here, and even if the Luo family doesn't fall, there is no need to fear. Speaking until here, he suddenly shouted, "Men!" Chapter 391. It was quiet all around. Qinglu Wangye's face froze. "Help! Help!" He shouted desperately, but there was no response. Luo Qingtong stood in place and looked at him with a faint smile. She was holding the smaller Yi Qianxian in her arms. The latter didn't even bother to look at Prince Cheng. When the woman came in, she had already knocked down all the guards outside. Wherever he passed, there was not even a single person who could stand. She wanted to call for help, but where could she call for help? But if he hadn't followed Luo Qingtong here, he wouldn't have known that this woman's situation was so difficult. The royal family of such an inferior country dared to make things difficult for her. How low was the status of this woman's family? And listening to the other party's words, this woman seemed to be from this inferior country? Little Ming Zun frowned, and he couldn't believe what he had heard. This woman was actually from an inferior country, and she was from a family that could be bullied by anyone? Yi Qianxian thought and looked up at Luo Qingtong. He couldn't see that this woman was from such an inferior country. With the other party's strength and ability, not to mention an inferior country, even an ordinary empire couldn't cultivate such a talent, okay? That was why he had asked the Blackfield people to look for her in the empire and above. Later he couldn't find her, so he expanded it to the superior countries. Who would have thought that this woman was actually from such a lowly country? No wonder he couldn't find her. But even so, Yi Qianxian couldn't allow others to bully her. "Didn't you kill all these people? What are you keeping them for?" He frowned and looked at Prince Cheng, who rushed out of the door in disbelief. This kind of person dared to bully his woman. He was really looking for death. If his dividing soul division strength wasn't restricted, he would definitely kill him in minutes. Just let him feel what despair feels like. Luo Qingtong chuckled. Was this man concerned about her? Inexplicably hearing the anger in his voice, Luo Qingtong blinked and then quickly rejected it. He probably didn't want to see people like Prince Cheng being arrogant in front of him. This man had always been high and mighty. How could he tolerate people like Prince Cheng being presumptuous in front of him? Thinking of this, she suddenly leaned over and kissed him on the lips, squinted and smiled. "Don't be angry, I'll take care of him." Prince Cheng had already rushed to the door of the hall. When he saw the scene outside, he suddenly felt his scalp numb and instantly rushed to the top of his head. Outside the main hall, a group of people had collapsed. All the guards were lying on the ground. No one knew whether they were dead or alive. This was the most heavily guarded part of the palace, the emperor's bedroom. At this moment, it was completely open without any defenses. Chenglu Wangye's heart chilled. He looked at the young girl standing in the hall. He didn't know how she could have such ability. There were so many guards outside, but they were all taken down in an instant without a sound. If Luo Qingtong wanted to kill them, how easy would it be? His throat kept rolling, looking at Luo Qingtong with eyes full of fear and despair. It was only at this moment that he realized how laughable his threats were. No wonder Luo Qingtong stood motionless in the same place. She didn't need to move at all to see their jokes. Those people of the Mang Tiger Guards. Were they also killed by Luo Qingtong? Chapter 392. No, that's impossible. No matter how capable Luo Qingtong was, it was impossible for her to do that. The guards of the Eastern Fence Royal Palace were no match for the Mang Tiger Guards. Even King Xiaowu, Fiji, was not someone that could be dealt with by ordinary people. King Xiaowu was a martial king. However, just as this thought popped up in his mind, Luo Qingtong's voice sounded. "How is it, Prince Cheng? Are you satisfied with what you see?" It was the same when the Fei family was annihilated. Luo Qingtong's smile was faint, but the bloodthirst in it couldn't be ignored. Fei family. Prince Cheng's voice trembled, and he almost couldn't control his facial muscles. He looked at Luo Qingtong with fear, as if he was looking at a demon from hell stepping on blood and bones. The Fei family was annihilated? That Fei family? The Fei family that had been the pillar of the empire for generations? The Fei family of the Empress. Prince Cheng wanted to refute Luo Qingtong loudly and accuse her of lying, but his teeth were chattering, and he couldn't even make a complete sound. He suddenly thought of the battle at the Luo family last night. Clearly, they let King Xiaowu's men in and saw them charge into the Luo family with their own eyes. It was impossible for the latter to be fine. But the Luo family was fine. They thought that something happened at the Tianyu Empire, and King Xiaowu's men retreated at the last minute. But now, it seemed that they were annihilated. Annihilated by this girl in front of them. Not only that, but even the Fei family was annihilated. Prince Cheng's face was filled with fear, and his face was distorted like a ferocious ghost's. He couldn't believe all this. How was this possible? How was it possible for Luo Qingtong to have such capabilities? However, all the disbelief in his eyes was shattered by Luo Qingtong's Rakshasa mask. You! Prince Cheng's face was filled with shock. Evil physician Ghost Eye. Luo Qingtong was actually the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Before he could finish his words, Luo Qingtong had already slit his throat. Cheng Lu Wangye clutched his throat and fell down with his eyes wide open. He died with his eyes wide open. Luo Qingtong had the evil Dr. Ghost Eyes. She actually had the evil Dr. Ghost Eyes. How was this possible? How could this be? Bang! When Prince Cheng Lu's body fell, Prince Dongli also fell from his chair. He looked at Luo Qingtong in shock and panic, as if he had seen a ghost. Luo Qingtong? His voice was sharp. You're actually the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. No, that's impossible. King Dongli's voice trembled to the extreme. He was sprawled on the ground in an indescribably sorry state. How could this be? Luo Qingtong was actually the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. This was even more unbelievable than the news that Luo Qingtong had destroyed the Fei family. Who was the evil Dr. Ghost Eye? The most sought-after alchemist in the Black Field. The most important VIP in the Bloody Arena. No matter which identity it was, Prince Dongli couldn't afford to provoke them. He actually made a move against such a person and wanted to destroy the Luo family. Thinking like this, Prince Dongli's feet staggered. In an instant, the figure that had just climbed up fell flat on his back. Luo! Luo! He looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. He wanted to beg for mercy, but his voice trembled and he couldn't say a word. Luo Qingtong looked at him indifferently. That pair of clear and bloody eyes were full of coldness. Chapter 393. She took a step forward, pinched King Dongli's chin, and stuffed a black pill into his mouth. Dirty! Seeing Luo Qingtong's action, Yi Qianxian's face flashed with anger. He raised his hand and slapped the girl's hand away. Who allowed her to touch another man? Yi Qianming angrily glared at King Dongli, whose eyes were wide open in fear. This kind of scum is worthy of being touched by this woman? Yi Qianxian's heart burst with anger. I've only been touched by this woman a few times. While Yi Qianxian's heart was boiling with anger, King Dongli was already paralyzed on the ground. Luo Qingtong is the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. What kind of good thing can she give me? Thinking of how Luo Qingtong once poisoned an Earth-level alchemist in the Blackfield sub-city, King of Dongli's face was covered with tears and snot. She didn't even lift a finger to poison an Earth-level alchemist. Luo Qingtong. No, evil Dr. Ghost Eye. You are a magnanimous person. Please spare me. I didn't know your identity. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai and offended you. I beg you to give me a quick death. King Dongli was lying on the ground, crying with tears and snot. He was so scared that he even peed in his pants. He was really scared. One must know that Luo Qingtong is the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. He would never provoke the Luo clan. King Dongli's heart was filled with pain and regret. Grandfather Luo was loyal, patriotic, and upright. As long as he didn't deal with the Luo clan, the other party would always be his support. At that time, Luo Qingtong, the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, would also be his helper. But now, everything was ruined by him. Seeing him crying like this, Luo Qingtong, who was originally stunned by Yi Qianxian's sudden action, reacted and quickly wiped her fingers. TSK. So disgusting. Who would have thought that Dongli Wang, who looked vicious and vicious, was actually a coward? Seeing him cry like this, Yi Qianxian wondered if there was something dirty on his hands. No wonder Yi Qianxian felt dirty. Even she felt disgusted. Okay? Hua Lili misunderstood the meaning of Yi Qianxian's words. Luo Qingtong wiped it several times before she could stop the disgusting feeling in her heart. Let's go. After throwing the handkerchief on the ground, Luo Qingtong carried little Ming Zun and prepared to leave. You haven't killed him yet. Yi Qianxian frowned. What was the point of keeping such trash? To cut the weeds, one must dig up the roots. Not to mention, the other party already knew her true identity. If she didn't get rid of him, there would be endless trouble in the future. It's all right. He has already eaten my 3-corpse brainworm pill. After 3 days of brain-devouring pain, he will completely become my puppet. Luo Qingtong said lightly. How could she let Dongli King die so easily? He owed the Luo clan too much. What's more, the matter in the Tianyu Empire hadn't been resolved yet. With Dongli Wang on the throne, it would be good for her to numb the Tianyu imperial family. Moreover, if there were any strange movements in the Tianyu Empire, she would be able to know as soon as possible. Last night, the Luo clan was almost exterminated. She absolutely couldn't let it happen again. This time, she happened to be near Windgaze City and had a spiritual flying ship at hand. What if she wasn't there one day? Wouldn't that be an opportunity for others to take advantage of? Thinking of this, Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed dangerously. There was only one who could be a thief for 1,000 days, but no one could guard against a thief for 1,000 days. Luo Qingtong would never allow any accidents to happen to the Luo clan. Dongli Wang was very suitable as a spy. Therefore, Luo Qingtong mercifully allowed him to live. Chapter 394. Ah! There was a shrill cry in the hall. When Luo Qingtong left, King Dongli still wanted to beg Luo Qingtong for mercy. But as soon as he moved, the 3-corpse brainworm pill took effect. In an instant, he held his head and rolled violently in the hall. The shrill cry was enough to give a timid person nightmares. The 3-corpse brainworm pill. After 3 days of brain-eating pain, King Dongli's brain would be swallowed up. The brainworm that broke out of the pill would live in his place and have all his thoughts. No one would be able to tell anything from the outside. No one would be able to find it unless they cut open King Dongli's brain. This was an insidious book that Luo Qingtong got when she visited a diabolism sect in the 24th century in her previous life. In her previous life, she used it many times to deal with those who came to kill her. But in the 24th century, science was advanced. Those people would fall for it at first, but later on, they would find it with a CT scan. Luo Qingtong was too lazy to use it anymore. This time, it was suitable for King Dongli. Luo Qingtong left the palace with Yi Qianxian in her arms. Not long after she left, the palace guards who were drugged by her woke up. Hearing King Dongli scream, they hurried over and were shocked when they saw the scene in the hall. Your Majesty! Could it be that King Chenglu wanted to usurp the throne but was killed by the king instead? Everyone hurriedly helped King Dongli up, but the latter still looked like he was in a lot of pain. Imperial physician! They sounded the alarm and called for the imperial physician. Instantly, the entire palace was in chaos. While the palace was in chaos, Luo Qingtong had quietly returned to the Luo family. Phew! Finally, it's done. King Dongli and Luo Xining had been dealt with. The Luo family had no more obstacles in Dongli country. As for the other aristocratic families, if they knew what was good for them, they would stay. If not, they would be eliminated. There was no need for Luo Qingtong to do these things herself. She heaved a sigh of relief. Then, she recalled how King Dongli had wept with tears and mucus all over his face. Instantly, she felt disgusted. He didn't know if there was anything unclean on his body. Luo Qingtong shuddered inexplicably at the thought of Dongli King wanting to hug her thigh and beg for mercy. She hurriedly asked people to prepare hot water for her to take a bath. She wanted to get rid of her bad luck. She put little Nether Venerable on the bed. His arms and legs were small, and he was only a little big. As soon as he was placed on the bed, he sank into the soft quilt and struggled for a while before he crawled out. Before he could catch his breath, a red robe flew towards him with a swish, covering him in it. Plop! Yi Qianxian fell into the quilt again. This time, he was surrounded by the girl's unique fragrance, which enveloped him completely. It was as if Luo Qingtong was right in front of him, exhaling her sweet and fragrant scent. Luo Qingtong. Yi Qianxian's face was as red as blood. He struggled to get out of Luo Qingtong's robe. At this moment, there was a splash. Behind the partition, there was a sound of water. Yi Qianren's figure froze in an instant. Luo Qingtong was taking a bath. This thought flashed through his mind. His gaze uncontrollably drifted towards the screen. Chapter 395. The Empire of Qin's Holy Capital. Holy Academy Headquarters. Yi Qianxian coldly looked at the dean of the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy. The dean was nervous. He didn't know why the Supreme of Blackfield had suddenly come to the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy with such an unfriendly expression. This dark Supreme's strength was unfathomable. All the Sage Realm powerhouses of the True Spill continent knew about it. It was rumored that his strength had already surpassed the Sage Realm. As for what realm he had reached, no one knew. Even his own teacher, the Grand Dean, had a cautious expression when talking about him. The Dean of the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy naturally didn't dare to neglect him. What's more, in front of Yi Qianxian, he didn't have the slightest room to resist. His opponent's aura was too strong. He clearly didn't reveal the slightest bit of aura. But just his aura alone was enough to suppress him to the point where he couldn't speak. Your Excellency Dark Supreme, may I know why Your Excellency Dark Supreme has come to the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy? Teacher, he is not in the Holy Academy. Facing Yi Qianxian's terrifying aura, the Dean of the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy found it extremely difficult to finish his words. He emphasized his teacher, hoping that the man would restrain his aura a little for the sake of the other party. Yi Qianxian coldly looked at him. After knowing that the aura of danger that Luo Qingtong had encountered came from the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy, his heart was filled with anger. Therefore, he didn't intend to give face to the Dean of the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy. His woman couldn't be taught a lesson by others. I have recently obtained a wisp of aura, Yi Qianxian said. He raised his hand and released a wisp of aura that he had imprisoned. It was the aura of the holy pen that he had sensed through the 10-directional dragon ring. This aura has injured my people. How are you going to explain this to me? What? The Dean of the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy was stunned. He looked at the wisp of aura released by Yi Qianxian in disbelief. Then his face darkened. Which bastard was it that dared to provoke the Supreme of the Dark Region? He even injured the people around him. How important was that person's identity to be able to make the Blackfield Supreme Master come to the Empire of Qin to inquire about it personally? Thinking of this, he instantly scolded the person who caused the trouble. Don't let him find out who it is. Your Excellency Ming Zun. I'm really sorry. This wisp of aura is indeed a treasure of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. It has the aura of a holy pen. The Dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin looked terrible. There was really no way to push this blame away. The holy pen was the treasure of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. It carried the unique aura of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. This wisp of aura was indeed the aura of the holy brush. However, this aura was very weak. It was clearly released by a spiritual body. Thinking of this, the Dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin felt a headache coming on. There were many spiritual bodies of the Holy Pen. Almost all the mentors of the Saint Academy and the mentors of the other academies would be protected by a spiritual body of the Holy Pen every time they went out to do something. Now that Yi Qianxian had made it clear that he was going to make a punitive expedition against them, how could he find the owner of this spiritual body of aura for Yi Qianxian? Your Excellency Ming Zun, we really didn't know about this. This aura of the Saint Realm was released by a spiritual body of the Holy Pen. Yi Qianxian's voice interrupted him. I don't want to listen to your explanation. Yi Qianxian's voice was cold. The only thing I know is that this aura injured my people. The Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin must give me an explanation. Chapter 396. Your Excellency Ming Zun. The Dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin was anxious. There are so many of them. We really can't confirm their identity. It was the enrollment season. The mentors of the various academies and the headquarters went out to recruit people in different countries. How could they be sure who hurt Ming Zun's woman among so many people? The Dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin was cursing the troublemaker in his heart. Just as he was about to plead with Yi Qianxian with sweat all over his forehead, he suddenly felt the man in front of him stop breathing. Then a faint smell of blood suddenly spread out. "Your Excellency Ming Zun?" The dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin was shocked. Could it be that someone secretly attacked and hurt Ming Zun? However, just as he was about to look up, a strong and terrifying aura suddenly burst out from Yi Qianxian and suppressed him in place. "Don't look up." Yi Qianxian's voice was cold and harsh. He covered his nose. Hidden under the dark gold mask, his handsome face that didn't seem like a mortal's was instantly dyed with a crimson red. That boiling red color followed the strange burning sensation on his body, and instantly spread throughout his entire body. Blood dripped out. The dignified Ming Zun had a nosebleed. People would laugh their heads off if they knew about it. Yi Qianxian was ashamed and angry. He just wanted to grab the woman and throw her on the bed to punish her. It was really... He was about to explode. The aura emitted from his body was extremely terrifying. Crack, crack, crack. The dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin was suppressed by his terrifying aura. His bones were cracking. He complained incessantly in his heart. He thought that Ming Zun was angry because of the Saint Academy's refusal. He immediately shouted, "Wait! Your Excellency Ming Zun, I didn't mean to hide it. The holy pen is not in the Saint Academy now. It was taken by my teacher. When my teacher comes back, I will investigate the whereabouts of the aura as soon as possible and give you an explanation, okay?" The dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin was really suppressed to tears. This supreme master of the Black Field was really powerful. Could it be that even his teacher was somewhat afraid of him? Could it be that the hidden experts of the four sacred dynasties didn't care about him establishing the Black Domain? Ming Zun's strength was really not on the same level as his. He was afraid that even his teacher's level was not as good as his teacher. Thinking of this, he wanted to cry but had no tears. At this moment, his teacher was also not in the sacred court. There was really no one who could save him. He had thought that Yi Qianxian would not give up. Ming Zi. After he finished speaking, he vanished from the sight of the headmaster of the Grand Qin Academy. This supreme of the dark region was so powerful, and had suppressed him to the point that he couldn't move at all, so how could he be in such a sorry state? But in fact, he was telling the truth. Yi Qianxian covered his nose all the way back to the spiritual boat. The aura around him made all the people in the Black Field bow their heads wherever he went. They couldn't and didn't dare to look up. Back to the Black Field. Yi Qianxian's voice was muffled. He felt like he was gnashing his teeth. Chapter 397. Don't let him find that woman. Otherwise. Yi Qianren gritted his teeth and let out a muffled groan. His aura became unstable again. That kind of fiery and scorching feeling was almost driving him crazy. At the same time, Dongli Nation, Windgaze City, Luo family. Little Ming Zun was looking at the beautiful scene reflected on the screen in front of him. The girl's figure was graceful and petite, and her figure was slender and well-proportioned. The places that should be concave were concave and the places that should be convex were convex. She had just started to develop, but it seemed that she had already begun to take shape. Yi Qianren looked at the young girl's fingers holding the handkerchief and carefully wiping from her neck to her feet. Every curve of her body was shown through the high-quality screen in front of him. His brain instantly exploded and he didn't even know when he started to have a nosebleed. Of course, what flowed out was the power of his soul. In an instant, Yi Qianxian's figure faded a lot. When Luo Qingtong came out of the shower, she saw him covering his nose and lying on the bed. His figure shrank again in an instant. She was shocked. What happened to you? Could it be that the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood was out of control and absorbed his soul power? Thinking of this, she quickly used her eye technique to check, but found that there was nothing strange in the heart of the 1,000-year soul-guiding wood. There was no extra power. What was going on? Luo Qingtong didn't have time to think. She quickly fed Yi Qianxian a soul pill and carried him up. What's wrong with you? Why did you lose so much of your soul power? Could Yi Qianxian tell Luo Qingtong that he had a nosebleed because he peeked at her bathing? Humph, it's nothing. Don't make a fuss. He struggled with a red face. Let me down. This woman was always kissing and hugging him. It was fine before, but after what happened just now, when little Ming Zun got close to Luo Qingtong, he couldn't suppress the strange heat in his heart. Especially when Luo Qingtong just finished bathing, the fragrance of a young girl on her body became more pleasant. Yi Qianxian was in her arms. His whole body seemed to be surrounded by this fragrance. He was even more embarrassed and angry. "Hey, don't move!" Luo Qingtong was originally going to pick him up to check. His movement instantly made Luo Qingtong lose her grip. Yi Qianxian's head was buried in Luo Qingtong's breasts. Touching the smooth and delicate skin, Yi Qianren recalled the scene where Luo Qingtong's hand brushed against it when she was bathing. Instantly, she felt like she was going to explode. The nosebleed that had just stopped flowed out again. "Oh, I got it." Luo Qingtong lifted him up. Seeing that the soul power in his body was dissipating little by little, she quickly gave him a Yin soul pill. Then she looked at him with an evil smile. "My lord, just now you peeked at me bathing?" Although Luo Qingtong's words were a question, her tone was affirmative. She glanced at the compartment where she was bathing. Only then did she realize that the quality of the screen was very good. After it was soaked in water vapor, it became very transparent. Through the screen, she could vaguely see the scene behind the screen. In other words, the scene of her bathing just now was seen by the other party. Chapter 398. Then, Lord, do I look good? She leaned close to little Ming Zun as she spoke, and gently blew into his ear. Humph! Little Ming Zun blushed as he raised his head. He forced himself to be calm. What's there to look at? Is that so? Luo Qingtong smiled as she looked at him. The smile on her lips became sweeter. Lord, you have a nosebleed again. She suddenly pointed at him. Upon hearing that, Yi Qianxian subconsciously covered his nose again. However, when he covered his nose, he realized that he didn't have a nosebleed at all. This woman. He looked at Luo Qingtong angrily. The latter had already collapsed on the bed with laughter. Haha. Luo Qingtong laughed happily. Her long hair was fluttering. She had just taken a bath, and there was still some water vapor on her hair. Following her movements, they scattered on the bed. Coupled with her face that was more delicate than a flower, it was truly an indescribable beauty. If the smiling Luo Qingtong was like an evil witch in hell who tempted the deities, then the laughing Luo Qingtong was like a fairy who fell into the mortal world. She was so beautiful that she didn't seem to be tainted by the mortal world. These two completely different temperaments were presented to the extreme on Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong. Little Ming Zun's face became redder. That's enough. Don't. You're spoiled, right? Luo Qingtong continued his words. She hugged the pillow and laughed even more happily. She didn't know that Yi Qianxian was so cute after he turned small. The cold and evil actions that the main body usually did had all turned into cuteness at this moment. Even this duplicitous and angry look was so adorable that it was going to explode. She really wanted to tease him every minute. Then what about you peeking at me bathing? Humph. That's because I accidentally saw it. I wasn't peeping. Yi Qianxian tried his best to clear his name. He was a dignified underworld paragon, so how could he possibly peek at her bathing? Humph. It was clearly because the quality of the screen was too good. That's because I saw it. Luo Qingtong hugged the pillow and tilted her head to look at him. Her delicate face was full of smiles. I'm a pure and innocent young girl, but my lord has seen everything. How am I going to live in the future? As she spoke, she let out a sigh and approached Yi Qianmin in a devilish and seductive manner. She held back her laughter and gently breathed into his ear, saying, How about this, High Lord? How about giving yourself to him? Before she could finish her sentence, Yi Qianxian's expression froze and he looked out the door. At the same time, Luo Qingtong seemed to have sensed something. She sat up from the bed and looked out the door. Master. A figure suddenly and silently appeared outside Luo Qingtong's room. Something happened to Luo Xinning. The war slave reported. Is that so? Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed. Luo Xinning. Previously, Luo Qingtong had beaten her into a half-cripple in the arena during the recruitment assessment. Then, she threw her to the bandits that she had arranged to follow Luo Xinning's plan. However, Luo Qingtong had secretly sent the expert who had just reached the martial royal realm and the experts of the martial king realm from the evil valley to secretly watch them. The bottle of extremely poisonous poison that Luo Xinning had taken out was definitely not something that an ordinary person could take out. Even the people of the Tianyu Empire could not do it. Then the bottle of poison must have come from somewhere else. Luo Qingtong did not believe that the other party would ignore the fact that Luo Xinning was in trouble and her eyes were healed. Chapter 399. Ah! In the dilapidated kiln, a woman's cry of pain could be heard. That voice was abnormally miserable, as if he was being skinned alive and his bones were being torn apart. It made one's heart go numb. Luo Qingtong's expression was calm. She carried Yi Chenxian and waited outside. Beside her was the bandit leader, who was trying to please her. "Miss, don't worry. Everything is done according to your instructions. What Luo Xinning is enjoying now is all arranged by herself." He rubbed his hands and said, "Those customers are all people with special hobbies that I found from all over the world. I guarantee that Luo Xinning will suffer every time." Luo Qingtong looked at him and did not say anything. Luo Xinning would definitely suffer. What the bandit did was just icing on the cake. The elixir that she gave Luo Xinning made her feel like she was being skinned alive every time someone touched her, not to mention being ravaged by customers with special hobbies. However, this was all arranged by Luo Xinning herself. Luo Qingtong could only watch her enjoy it. After an unknown amount of time, the screams stopped and a wretched-looking man walked out with a satisfied look on his face. "Sigh. This woman's voice is really interesting. Boss, I want her again next time," the wretched man said to the bandit leader. "All right, get out of here. We'll talk about it next time." The bandit leader was afraid that the man would offend Luo Qingtong and quickly chased him away. In fact, even if he did not chase him away, the wretched man would not dare to look at Luo Qingtong. The aura around the bandit was too scary. Not to mention other things. Just the powerful people around Luo Qingtong made the wretched man not dare to look at Luo Qingtong even if he was given 100 guts. "Bring Luo Xinning out." Luo Qingtong sat in the courtyard, surrounded by the people from Evil Valley. Hearing this, the group of people entered the room and dragged Luo Xinning out. Bang! Luo Xinning was thrown to the ground. At this moment, she was in an extremely sorry state. Her entire body was bruised from head to toe, and there wasn't a single piece of unharmed flesh. In some places, traces of blood and lacerations could be seen. Her face had been scratched until it was garish, and there was blood everywhere. At that moment, those wounds and bruises were slowly healing. Her skin returned to its original appearance. However, every time it healed, it was like peeling off a layer of skin from Luo Xinning. "Ah! Luo Qingtong! You killed me! Just kill me!" She writhed on the ground like a lump of rotten meat. Although her face quickly regained its previous beauty, the process was extremely tragic, and it was a fate worse than death. Luo Xinning was really scared. Luo Qingtong's means were 1,000 times more ruthless than hers. Her methods were like child's play in front of Luo Qingtong. But how could this be? How did it become like this? She was supposed to be the winner. She was supposed to be the one standing here looking down at Luo Qingtong and showing off her glory. How did it become Luo Qingtong? She couldn't believe all of this. Ever since she woke up and was tortured, she couldn't accept it. It was that spiritual array caster. It must be that spiritual array caster who helped the Luo family and Luo Qingtong. If not, how could she lose? She had arranged everything and destroyed everything that Luo Qingtong could rely on. How could she lose? It was all because Luo Qingtong was too lucky. Chapter 400. Kill you? Luo Xinning, don't be so naive. Luo Qingtong leaned on the big wooden chair with one hand supporting her forehead and the other holding little Ming Zun in her arms. She looked at Luo Xinning indifferently. "You poisoned Grandpa, colluded with the Dongli royal family to attack the Luo family, and destroyed my array when Fiji led the Mang Tiger Guards to attack us. I don't want to die even if you want to. Moreover, don't try to provoke me by injuring yourself to gain my confidence. Aren't you trying to provoke me not to kill you by saying all these? What I said just now is what you want, isn't it? Why, are you waiting for someone to save you? Unfortunately, you don't have any chance." Luo Qingtong smiled faintly. She saw the change of emotions in Luo Xining's eyes, from suspicion to shock, and then to disbelief. She smiled and clapped her hands. Bring her here. Impossible. Luo Xining looked at Luo Qingtong in disbelief. Luo Qingtong's words kept echoing in her mind. The array of the Luo family was set up by Luo Qingtong? Was she the spirit array master that he thought was protecting the Luo family? How is this possible? Luo Xining's voice was sharp. She couldn't help but scream. How could Luo Qingtong be the spiritual array master? And how did she know about Fiji? Fiji and the others would never expose their identities. That meant that Luo Qingtong killed them? She didn't appear at the entrance examination because of luck or accident, but because Fiji and the others were all dead. Luo Xining's face turned pale as she thought of this. This kind of deathly pale was like the ashes of death. All her pride and unwillingness were completely crushed by Luo Qingtong's words. Luo Qingtong was the spiritual array master, and this hit her even harder than when she was beaten up by her in the entrance examination. Previously, she could still be jealous of Luo Qingtong. She could still be resentful and unreconciled. But now, Luo Qingtong, other than crawling on the ground like a stray dog, what else could she do? The spiritual array master who was secretly protecting the Luo family was actually Luo Qingtong. Ah! Luo Xiaoning lay on the ground, laughing and crying. She had no hope left. She would not forget that it was the formation set up by Luo Qingtong that almost killed the two peak martial marquee experts beside her. It was also Luo Qingtong's array formation that stopped Fiji and the others. So all along, she had been the biggest joke. She treated Luo Qingtong as a joke, but the other party didn't put her in her eyes at all. She was extremely afraid of that spiritual array master, but she didn't expect that the other party was Luo Qingtong. However, Luo Xining still didn't know that Luo Qingtong was the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Otherwise, she would be even more hopeless. Just as Luo Xining was feeling hopeless, a person was brought up and pushed to her side. A peak martial royal realm expert. Luo Qingtong looked at the martial royal realm expert whose limbs were tied up and who had lost all ability to resist. She smiled coldly. Luo Xining, you really have a lot of face. Peak martial king? Hearing Luo Qingtong's words, Luo Xining looked blankly at the person beside her and realized that she didn't know him. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and her eyes widened. Chapter 401. He is the one who came to save you. If I hadn't made the proper arrangements, you would have been saved by him. Luo Qingtong chuckled as she said this. The person who can take out the most poisonous liquid is indeed not an ordinary person. Even the person who was sent to save you is an expert at the peak of the martial royal realm. Luo Qingtong looked at the expert at the peak of the martial royal realm as she said this. To be honest, she was also very surprised when she received the report. The other party was an expert at the peak of the martial royal realm. If she hadn't made the arrangements and taken the initiative, the other party would have succeeded and saved Luo Xining. To think that such a powerful cultivator would be sent to save Luo Xining. Luo Qingtong didn't believe that they were being cautious. That meant the other party's strength was actually very ordinary on their side. It seemed that she had caught a big fish by accident. After Luo Qingtong knew that the poison in her eyes was the most poisonous liquid, she guessed that things were not simple. But she didn't expect that things were much more interesting than she thought. Tell me, who is your master? Luo Qingtong didn't look at Luo Xining anymore. The latter was just a bait. She deliberately spared Luo Xining's life so that she would tell the background of the person behind the scenes in extreme despair and fear. But unfortunately, Luo Xining didn't know. Otherwise, after so many days of torture, if she had such a powerful backer, she would have told the truth. Fortunately, she was still of some use. Didn't she catch a fish? Luo Qingtong asked someone to remove the ball of cloth stuffed in the mouth of the expert at the peak of the martial royal realm. Bah! You don't deserve to know the name of my master. The expert at the peak of the martial royal realm spat as the ball of cloth in his mouth was removed. Miss Luo, I didn't expect your Luo family to be so capable. As he spoke, he glanced at the group of evil valley cultivators beside Luo Qingtong and said disdainfully, but that's all. I advise you to let Luo Xining and me go if you know what's good for you. Then, send us out of here nicely. Otherwise, When he said this, he sneered and looked at Luo Qingtong with disdain. The destruction of the Luo clan is imminent. With master status, if it wasn't for the fact that he disdained to deal with the Luo family, he would have annihilated a small and weak marquis residence from an inferior country with a single breath. Not to mention his own master, if he wanted to make a move on the Luo family, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes? Thus, this peak martial monarch did not place Luo Qingtong in his eyes at all. So what if he was a prisoner? Could it be that Luo Qingtong really dared to do something to him? Thinking of this, the expression of the peak martial emperor became even more contemptuous. He wanted Luo Qingtong to send him away the same way she caught him. However, just as he was thinking this, he heard Luo Qingtong's light laughter. Her voice was as clear as a silver bell. But for some unknown reason, when it entered the ears of others, it was like a demonic bell that urged them to take their lives, and it carried a feeling that caused them to shudder with fear. It seems that I'm too easy to talk to. Luo Qingtong's voice slowly sounded after the laughter. So, anyone can threaten me with the destruction of the Luo clan. As she spoke, Luo Qingtong's face suddenly darkened. In the next second, she suddenly leaped up and appeared in front of the martial emperor at the peak of the martial emperor realm in an instant. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.